Hey, conscious beings, welcome to another edition of Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. I have a great guest coming in, and it's actually something I was super excited to find out about just recently, just a few months ago or less. And it's related to having an app on your phone that essentially can potentially get rid of all government services and actually do a much better job of it, obviously. That's pretty easy. And it also is a lot cheaper because the taxes that go towards government services such as police and fire and ambulance and all these sort of things are really expensive because they're so communist, centrally planned style. I actually had on a couple years ago Cody Drummond of the Peacekeeper app, which is a similar app, and I think they raised a bit of money, but it never seemed to really get fully functional. And I apologize to Cody if that's not the case, and Cody, you can contact me if it actually is fully functional. But I've never seen it fully functional. It always seemed to have problems. So then I heard about a new one called Cell 411, and I put it on my phone, and I asked everyone around me to put it on their phones, and it all worked great, and it's a really cool UI. I'm actually going to play a video for it right now. It's sort of like a little trailer for the app, so you can see what it is, so you can see why it's really cool.
Have you ever asked yourself the question, who do you call when the police are harassing you? What if you're an activist and need help? Who do you trust enough to ask for help when your car breaks down or when you're being bullied at school or need medical help? What about a terrorist attack or a mass shooting? Well, Cell 411 is a fantastic new app that allows you to issue real-time emergency alerts to your family, neighbors, or friends, to one of them or many, in an instant with the tap of a finger. The emergency alert includes your exact GPS coordinates, and your trusted friends will get turn-by-turn directions to your location so they can come and help you in need. You'll be notified of an ETA, who's coming to help you, and when they'll arrive at your location. All this happens within seconds. Cell 411 is changing the way humans are handling emergencies all over the world. And the best thing about it is that it's completely free. It's not dependent on government or decades-old analog telephone networks to function. Whether you're a student, parent, neighborhood watcher, or activist, this app is for you. Give it a try and download it today from getcell411.com.
So as you can see, it's really just user-friendly. You can just instantly just have if you have a problem, for example, if you get pulled over by the cops, which is usually one of the biggest problems, that you can just let everyone know where you are. They'll know where you are instantly. They'll know you have a problem, that you've been pulled over by the cops or whatever it is, and they can decide what to do from there, but at least everyone knows. So this is I think this should be on everyone's phone in the world. That's what I think. And it actually looks like it could end up that way. It's got a ton of momentum right now, and we're going to talk about what's going on, but people around the world are starting to use it and really loving it for obvious reasons, and we'll talk about why it is so great with the founder who we have on right now, Virgil Vaduva. Great to have you on, Virgil, and I know we tried to get you down to Anarchapulco at the last minute, but I think you were doing the Liberty Forum up there in New Hampshire, and I just found out about the app like a month or two ago, and we actually tried to get everyone at Anarchapulco to put the app on their phone, and most people did. So absolutely no one had any problems here in Acapulco, the fourth most dangerous city in the world, according to the CIA. But no one had any problems, so we never got the chance to, see how well it worked if someone did have a problem. But and that's thankfully so. I'm glad no one had a problem. But everyone did have it on their phone, and I heard great things. Everyone loved it and all that. So super happy to have you on. We're going to talk all about the app and what's so great about it and what you're doing and how we can see and if we can help you to grow this so that we can get rid of the police state and all government as we know it. But first, before we start, of course, you're on Anarchast, so I have to check your street cred. How did you become an anarchist?
Thanks, Jeff. I really appreciate you having me on. It's kind of, I've heard your podcast and your show before, but I gotta confess, I'm not a regular subscriber, but after this, I'm gonna fix that. So, again, thanks for having me. I became an anarchist. I have a very interesting journey, right? So, I spent about half of my life until I was 18, 19 or so. I lived in communist Romania, and I used to be a communist, not by choice, but then I actually received a scholarship from a very kind American family to come to attend college here in the U.S. And it was it was one of these weird things where it was a kind of a conservative Christian school, so I kind of grew through that and became this neocon, hardened Bush supporter. And then I just happened to run across a book called The Anatomy of the State by Murray Rothbard. It's more like a little pamphlet, rather than a lengthy book. And I read it, and pretty much I was convinced that the state is just something that needs to end. And I do have to credit Murray Rothbard for my transition. So it's been a good journey. And then after that, I became kind of involved with the Free State Project a little bit. The family and I, we haven't moved to New Hampshire yet. We haven't even decided if that's going to happen, but hopefully it's in the books. And I started meeting various people in the so-called liberty movement, and I quickly learned that there are a lot of needs that need to be filled from a technical perspective, because I'm an engineer at heart. I do a lot of security work and information security, and that's kind of my journey. And I got here mostly through this process that I mentioned, and eventually learned about this this idea that badges don't grant extra rights, which is what the cop block folks have been doing for the last 6-7 years, however long they've been around. And after doing some activism, I ended up arrested about a year ago, simply for taking pictures. And then I said, look, we got to find a way to leverage technology to help activists and liberty lovers, and not just activists and liberty lovers, everyone really, and slowly, hopefully, use technology to push the state out of this idea that somehow they owe us protection, or we will receive protection from them. So that's kind of my journey in a little 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, that's great. Great story. Very interesting story, having grown up in communist Romania, I think you said, and then coming over and being in a very neocon sort of a thing, and probably coming from communist Romania, you were like, wow, America, this is so great, and of believing all the neocon sort of stuff. Oh, well, the reason we're so great is because we blow everyone up, and it's like, okay. But then you read a book by Murray Rothbard. Yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah, and really, I was a hardened, Reagan guy. Because when you're a teenager in Romania and you hear Reagan giving a speech at the Berlin Wall at the Brandenburg Gate, and talking, saying, Mr. I can't remember what I'm paraphrasing here.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Tear down this wall. I mean, those are words that kind of just burn, sear into your brain, and it's really been that momentum of supposedly liberty and freedom kind of moving towards Eastern Europe, and that kind of brought me here. And yes, I did buy into that whole thing. The U.S. is the land of the free. And to be honest with you, 20, 30 years ago, it was, the land of the freer, place to be really in the world. But it's gotten much, much worse since then. It's become a really, really bad place. So.
Well, it's kind of funny because you sort of remember that really echelon moment of Ronald Reagan saying those words, which was fairly powerful at the time, even though there's a whole lot of reasons not to like Ronald Reagan and politics and government in general. But, it was a fairly major important thing for people, especially on the east side of that wall.
Right.
It's so funny now that Trump is basically running on putting up a wall across an entire continent. That wall that got torn down was just like a city. It's just ridiculous. But anyway, that's how the U.S. has sort of progressed now, that it's getting to that point.
And I try to remind all my American friends that the walls you build to keep people out will eventually end up being the walls that keep you in. And a lot of Americans have been become very blinded by this, by their nationalism and that xenophobia that is driving seemingly a huge portion of the population here. I don't know why.
Yeah. Well, it's a lot of different reasons, but partially the government indoctrination camps, 12 years of Pledge of Allegiance and all that. And then they go home, they turn on the mainstream television programming, and it's called programming for a reason, where it's all salute the troops, support the troops. The reason why we're so great is because of the government, blah, blah, blah. So there's a lot. This has been planned for a long time, and they're just getting worse and worse now. But the great thing is, and this is the great thing, is as the state grows, grows. And as you're seeing in the U.S., and you mentioned Cop Block, those guys are never bored. Literally every couple minutes someone's getting beat up or robbed or killed by a cop. And so the free market has once again, and you are part of the free market, has once again come out with a solution to say, okay, we're just going to find a better way to do all these things. So people, if you think you need cops and if you think you need these sort of services, of course you do need services like things like emergency medical and fire and all these sort of things. Here's a way that we can do it that it's not going to be communist style. It's not going to be centrally planned. Right. It's going to come from the market. And I'm sure this is going to evolve too. You've just started with Self 411. I think we could see it end up being it could change dramatically over the years as it comes up with better services and ties in better private services and all kinds of stuff. Yeah. And 911 will be just like Flavor Flav said in Public Enemy. I don't know if you ever saw that song from the 90s. 911 is a joke, talking about how they never come, especially in the poor black neighborhoods.
Right. Jeff, you really nailed it. And in my opinion, and I've started thinking through this for the last few months and how this app can actually, I believe it can change the world. It sounds ridiculous and ambitious, but I think it can. And here's why. The state, this idea of a group of people called the government protecting us, the rest of us, that's really kind of the last leg they have to stand on. You know, they use war and fear-mongering and terrorism and all these things, you know, which are all kind of summed up to the idea of personal safety. And that's the last, it's that foundational stone, I think, in my opinion, that the government still holds on to, you know, or holds it over our heads to control us. And I think if we manage somehow to use technology, use mobile apps, use you know, new disruptive ways to help the masses out there realize that, you know, wait a second, we don't need the government to protect us. First of all, they do a terrible job at it. And secondly, when we call people that we trust, you know, neighbors, you know, friends, family members, and so on, these people are not going to show up and shoot our dogs and beat us up and search our pockets for weed or drugs or, you know, throw us in a cage. These are people that will actually show up with a genuine desire to help us. Better yet, if we actually add some sort of payment platform into these apps today, it's going to get even better, because then there's a financial incentive for you know, bodyguards to register with this platform with Self 411.
Absolutely,
and say, hey,
I could see this developing amazingly. Entire marketplace of services. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what we're working on.
Yeah, it's perfect anarcho-capitalism. That's what it is. You're creating something that is better than the state. Well, which I said isn't hard, but you've done it, and it's also cheaper, and that's not hard either. And it's also you can make money from it, and you're not making money from it right now. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but I think this could grow to the point where this could become a major company. And so we should just mention right now, for people who are interested in. I've been talking to you about how to finance it to grow it faster, because you're actually growing really well right now. I'll throw up a graphic right now. I came across this on my own. I was just scrolling somewhere, and it was a South African article. It said the small mobile app that is reshaping South Africa and personal safety, and it's talking about Self 411. And apparently, farmers in South Africa are using it to track down cut fences, tag the location with exact GPS coordinates, and organize with other farmers in decentralized independent groups to provide mutual aid and security in the farming community. So this thing already is starting to take off, but you're just like sort of a one-man shop right now. So you're trying to figure out how you can grow the company to not only keep up with demand, but also keep this momentum going, so that it can, hopefully at some point, be in everyone's pocket at some point.
That would be ideal. So it's very challenging right now, and that's why this is kind of a critical time for Self 411, whatever it is, whether it's a company or, you know, growing, whatever it's shaping into being. You know, it's critical, because we have a long list of features that we would like to add, and they're all doable. Nothing is impossible if you have you know, good development skills and the right resources and time. But we're limited by time, and we're kind of put against the wall here. And you know, I answer hundreds of emails from people, mostly from overseas users, and a lot of them from South Africa. You know, Johannesburg is pretty much covered in Self 411 groups or cells.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's thousands of them. I've lost track of how many. And we're working on building a Google Maps type of screen with little pins to show where all the cells are. So
awesome.
It's fascinating. It's caught. The entire country is basically on fire about this app, and really the main reasons are, number one, the police have basically stopped helping people. There's virtually no help from the cops, and it's almost this is another thing that I can't confirm, but it's what I've heard. There seems to be almost a case of reverse racism, if that makes sense. At least that's what I've been told by some folks in South Africa. So. There's a lot of violence, a lot of abuse, corrupt cops, and it's just the free market provides, right? So people are excited to use something that's free, it doesn't cost them anything, and I've even gotten tons of emails from owners of security companies and security firms that are willing to and asking to modify the app in such a way that it can help them stay in touch with their security guards and also their clients, and kind of create this triangle of trust and help them manage their businesses better. So there's definitely a huge opportunity for business improvement here, and improving the app and kind of creating a new market that's never existed before. So it's very exciting to me.
Yeah, I've already got one person lined up for you. He's an anarchist who runs one of the top what I call private policing services in the world, Threat Management. I don't know if you heard of them, but essentially in Detroit, they've been around for about 20 years and are doing incredibly well with private security and private security services.
Right.
They protect entire neighborhoods, entire parts of the city that cops won't even go into, and they're making money doing it. And I told him about your app, and he said, I was just looking into getting an app. So this is all coalescing here. We can get this all put together. It's just going to take time and a bit of money to get it all going. And talking about the money side, you weren't quite sure how you were going to go about it. We've been talking, and I said, why don't you just put up an Indiegogo at the start, just to get some funds in, so you can get some programmers going, maybe get some people working on answering some of those emails and stuff like that.
Right.
So you have put that up. So I'm going to put the link to that down below. It's just indiegogo.com/projects/cell-411-emergency-management-platform hashtag. So it's easier to click on it down below, but if you are listening on the radio, that's where it is. If you just go to Indiegogo and type in cell 411, you'll find it. We'll see if you can raise some funds there. But I know you've already been contacted by venture capital firms. So this thing is going to grow. There's no doubt about it. And I want to help it as much as possible. And so I hope other people do as well. And you seem to be offering some stuff on there. You can get bumper stickers and stuff for $5. So if you think this looks really good, first of all, just get the app, put it on your phone, and you will see how great it is. Put it on your phone, tell your family, your friends.
It doesn't cost anything to download it. It's free. Set up a few cells, play around with it, and if you think it's worth it, which I believe it is, it's worth a lot more than just $5. Make a donation. I would definitely appreciate it.
Yeah, if you'd like to see this really develop, this is the anarcho-capitalist community here. If you want to see our sort of solutions really do well, and you put it on your phone, and you get your friends and family on, and you're like, this is awesome. This is actually something that hopefully I will never have to use, but if I do, I have it now. I'm going to donate $5, $10, $20, $50, whatever it is, and that will get Virgil a bit of cash to get rolling even more, and then he'll probably start raising some funds, and I might even help him with that. We'll see. This could be a big company. This could be huge, actually. We could see a lot of sort of the Silicon Valley people start knocking on his door at some point. So this is going to be really interesting. So Virgil, after this Indiegogo, and as things progress, if you get to the point where you are going to be raising money, hopefully we can have you on at that time, and hopefully there will be an ability for people to invest, and if they want to, because it'd be great to get all the anarcho-capitalists in at the ground stage before all these statist VCs come in and all that at a higher price. That'd be beautiful. But let's talk about the app itself. It's really well designed. You're very humble about it. You say, it's not very well designed and all that. If you put it on your phone, just go to it right now. Pause this video, go to Google App Store or iTunes and just type in Cell 411. Put it on your phone. Beautifully designed app, very simple. I've got it on my phone right here, and I've got everyone here in Acapulco I know on it. I still haven't had to use it in the fourth most dangerous city in the world, but they they tell us it's really dangerous here. But I'm sure at some point someone's going to have a problem, whether it be just need, someone's they're at a bar and someone wants to pick a fight with them or something. And again, this is something we should talk about a little bit later. But I think people, I'm trying to load up your app and I've got all these friend requests. I guess people are still adding me from Anarchapulco. So I've got it on my phone here. And it's so nice and easy. And one of the funny things about this that I noticed is like police arrest and I'm pulled over and I am cop blocking are three of some of the top ones to press the button. It's so funny that this app could sort of replace the need for police services, but the main use for the app for a lot of people will be trying to keep safe when they're in contact with the police.
Pretty much.
It's pretty funny, but it's so easy. So I'm not going to press any of the buttons. I don't know. I've never tried to press them. It'd be kind of nice if there was like sort of like a test sort of mode. Anyway, I'm sure you get a ton
we're
of
working on that as
things.
well. That's one of the top requests out there to have a training mode.
Because I'd like to
or some sort of
test it.
mode.
Yeah, I'd like to test it, but I don't want to press like I'm being killed right now, and everyone thinks it's serious, and everyone panics, and they're crashing their cars driving over here and stuff. So anyway, really
that's not
cool,
gonna
really
happen.
easy
You have
to
to make
use.
a couple of additional choices after that. You're okay.
Okay, well, let me try it right now then, so I feel safe. I didn't feel safe just pressing. I didn't want to. I have like 500 people on here now, so I don't want 500 people just all worrying all of a sudden. Oh, I see.
They will
okay.
get notified, that's for sure. So yeah, don't hit that final send button out there because an alert will go out.
Okay, I see now. Yeah, that's great. Let's talk about. Have you had any people that have contacted you who have actually had to use the app? Any success stories?
All the time. So I regularly go through my alert list because I have we have a database where all the stuff is stored and I try to keep an eye on the number of users and alerts and so on because it's metrics, right? I like to be aware of what's going on. So far there have been about 28,000 alerts sent out in the last 6 months. So think about it. That's a substantial number of alerts, Jeff. And let's say, some of those are probably test alerts that people have sent, but even if it's 10,000 real alerts out there, you're talking about 10,000 times when government services, or especially police most likely, have not been used. And any one of these situations could have escalated into violence, could have escalated into shooting, or someone being in a cage, drug arrest, or who knows what, right? Just last week, an open carry activist, his name is Brett Sanders, you may be friends with him on Facebook. He's a fairly known activist. He was arrested for open carrying in Texas, and he streamed his arrest live through Cell 411. And all his friends, we all immediately knew exactly, what his GPS coordinates were when he was arrested. We determined what police department arrested him. And within an hour, we had a call campaign set up. We're calling the police department, demanding his release. So we have real world situations where this app has saved people and has helped activists and has delivered. So this is not vaporware. This actually works. It's in the real world. It may have some rough edges. I'm not a UI designer. This is not something I do every day, but I did my best with the resources and time I had, and we managed to put out something that works, right? And if I do manage to raise some funds and be able to bring a couple of full-time developers on for 6 months or a year or so, it would be able to take a good app and turn it into like a freaking awesome app. And that's really kind of what my end goal is for this. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you're too humble on the UI design. I think it's great. I couldn't even think of how to improve it, but I'm sure it can be improved, but it's really excellent. So nice and user-friendly to me, just easy to understand very quickly. How many people have downloaded it so far?
We have about 31,000 installs so far. And about 28,000 users. There's a discrepancy. What happens a lot of times, people download an app and never actually create an account or set it up. We have about 31,000 installs and about 28,000 users. So it's a substantial number. To consider that it took us 5 months to get 4,000 users, and we got from 4,000 users to 28,000 in the last 3-4 weeks. It's been an insane growth. So the app, it kind of got a life of its own now. We're getting about 500 to 1,000 new users almost daily. So to be honest with you, within 6 months or a year, I can see us having 500,000 users, if not 1 million, because it has that, viral, aspect to it, which is great. Because one person downloads it and then they tell 10 friends, and these 10 friends tell 10 friends. So it has kind of an exponential growth built into the way it functions. So it's exciting. It's exciting. We had awesome growth, and this is really, really good news for me.
Yeah. How is it all like? Is it all on a central server and stuff? Because I'm just thinking here, because this could go, as you pointed out, exponential. Once more people find out about it, and of course they're going to add their friends on, or else the app's useless, right? So
Right.
you could actually see millions coming on stream like daily at some point. Can you handle that at the moment, or is that?
That's one problem we have, right? So we can handle users and alerts and all that, but if all these people decide to live stream at the same time, we're going to have problems. And then I'm completely honest about that. We have only one live streaming server. It's a good sized server. It's hosted in Amazon, so there's plenty of capacity and bandwidth. But from just a server capacity perspective, there's no way that machine can handle 20,000 users streaming live. So that's part of the reason why I need help from people, whether it's investors or people just willing to donate on Indiegogo. I need help because I would like to deploy at least 1 or 2 servers per continent. Amazon has that ability to kind of use geolocation to localize traffic. So if someone from South Africa is streaming live, they're only hitting a server in Africa. They're not coming all the way to the United States. So it helps with performance, it helps with speed and capacity and all that. So money would definitely help. So far I've been hosting and paying for all this myself out of my own pocket, which is not a problem because it is my project. It started as a personal project, so it's okay. But eventually it's going to hit some, a critical line where I'm not going to be able to finance this on my own anymore, and we're going to need some help or, figure out a way to make it work.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the tricky things with the revenue model for this, and I really love how the private firms are, if you're an anarcho-capitalist out there, first of all, watch the interview I just did with Dale Brown of Threat Management. Try to start up a franchise of threat management in your city. Then try to, hopefully Dale, he'll be talking to Virgil soon. I'm going to try to connect them. Hopefully he'll integrate his threat management in all the different places, and so you can integrate into the app and actually get paid if someone calls. So if they add you and you have a problem, they will come, but you're going to get paid. So that could be a revenue model. So the payment could even go through the app, obviously.
Yeah.
So you could take a cut, so you could make a small profit, so you can continue to grow the business and keep it working. And
of course.
But I wonder if charging for the app at some point makes sense. Now, this is sort of the whole WhatsApp sort of a thing. WhatsApp, I'm sure. You're an app guy.
Yes.
So they started off and they started sort of kind of doing it free for a few months, and that got them millions and millions and millions of users. And then they tried to charge for it. And I didn't follow the full story, but it seems to have backfired somewhat because it looks like it's all free again now. It's kind of silly to me because, a lot of people love WhatsApp. And if they're told they have to pay $5 a year for it, they stop using it. It's just kind of sad to me because it's so cheap. It's funny.
It is. It is. I get emails from people about the app that are just bitching, for pages about.
Tell them you'll send them a refund right away.
How it's, Yeah, but it's right. They complain about something they got for free, and they're, one guy sent me this nasty message about how, you should be ashamed of yourself for not supporting older phone models, and Android version 4.4 and previous. And here I'm trying to explain that, in a technical way to this guy why that's not technically possible. It's literally impossible to do that, and he doesn't want to hear it, and he didn't pay anything for this.
People have this entitlement mentality.
This, right? They do. It's funny, but we have to kind of deal with it. When I did release the app, we were charging $1, and we probably sold I don't know about 1,000 or so units, which was great. It was decent money to get us started and so on, but it was really holding adoption back. So I've decided. I said, look, I'm already personally invested into this. Let's just make it free. Let's get let's see what's happening, and we'll take it from there. I got to pause right now because the DSLR apparently paused. So give me 1 second.
Sure. Yep, no problem.
You're right, man. That has to be a government regulation because it's too stupid to make sense.
Yeah, so for people who don't know, he just restarted his DSLR camera, and I told him beforehand, because he's recording on the camera right now, I said, I bet you it turns off after 15 minutes, and he said, why would it do that? You know, it's a good camera. I'm like, no, it's nothing to do with the company. It's a government regulation, and essentially what it is if a DSLR camera records more than 15 minutes, it's denoted by the government as being a video camera, and then there's an extra tax on top of it, and that makes it so a lot of the companies don't want to put on that tax, so they just have it stop recording after every 15 minutes. So as with almost everything, the government is just fucking with us, just causing little problems in our lives
pretty much
every single minute for their extortion fees, which hopefully we'll get rid of them. No, not at all. I don't see how this is improving anything, the DSLR
right.
thing. Well, the money goes to welfare, though. Okay, yeah, good. Whatever.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's a shame, right? But also I get hundreds of emails from people that are loving it, and they're the kind of users that are very good for developers are the users that don't like bitch about, something that's broken, because something will always be broken in an app. The kind of users we want is users that recognize that the app could be improved, but they're willing to give you positive feedback to improve it, right? And I've gotten a lot of those, which is awesome. As far as WhatsApp goes, I think they became free because Facebook bought them, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but one of these large companies bought them out, and I think they just made it free. So that could be a factor as well.
I guess they get subsidized by the CIA and NSA just to be able to read all the information. Right? So that's how they make their money. Okay.
Yeah, I know. That's funny.
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, we'll see. I kind of see this in maybe a year or so. When everyone's got it, and you just sort of say for $5 a year extra, you get these extra services, and it ties in more of the private services and stuff like that. And then you'll still have all the people who don't want to pay the $5 on it, which is great. But then you'll also have people who want the extra services, and maybe it's 10 million of them at $5 a year. That's $50 million a year profit. Pretty good.
Yeah, that's not bad. So that's a good revenue model. When I was in the Liberty Forum in New Hampshire, I actually spoke with some EMTs, and they made some great suggestions about how you could actually, if you're a physician or an EMT, because medical emergency issues came up, right? Like if I'm having a heart attack, what the hell is a mobile app doing for me? It doesn't do anything. You have to call 911 and get real doctors or EMTs to show up. Well, do you really? I mean, what if you're an EMT and you come home at 3 p.m, and you want to make a few extra bucks, just like an Uber driver, right?
Yeah, Uber.
You can just enable,
awesome.
Go into enable mode in the app. You're registered for, let's say, the Acapulco area. Within 5-mile radius of your house. Someone has a medical emergency. You get notified. Go help these people within 5 minutes. You can even buy your own ambulance if you want. I don't care, right? And go save someone if they have a heart attack, and then send them a bill. I mean, that's how the world works today. So why not privatize, take the government out of that picture, eliminate that 911 instance, which is antiquated analog phone lines, and leverage this new disruptive technology and basically eliminate the middleman, which is the state. Now, my fear is that it's just a matter of time before, just like they did with Uber, some government bureaucrat somewhere is gonna say, "Wait a second, we don't like what these guys are doing. What can we do to shut them down?" And that's kind of my fear. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but I'm anticipating that someone will raise that point sooner or later,
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. That will happen. Just like that guy who wrote in who's all angry. There's certain people, and especially government, but there's even just certain people who just have to hate something. They just,
of course.
Like I had a guy who hates Anarchapulco, and he came to it. And we found out he didn't even pay. He turns out, it looks like he's a narco-communist or something. He didn't even pay.
Okay.
No one really liked him. He went home and he wrote he had a podcast or something. He said, Anarchapulco is the worst thing ever because they support child molestation and drug cartels. And I said, well, we definitely support drug cartels because that's free market plants, but where do you get the child molestation? He's like, there's some underage prostitutes in Acapulco. And I'm like, there's underage prostitutes in the Vatican
everywhere.
At Buckingham Palace. Yeah. We had to pick a place to have the conference. It doesn't mean we support every single thing that's going on in a certain area.
It's a shame. Yeah, I got a lot of hate since the app became very popular. For the last few weeks, I got a lot of hate from communists and, the anarcho-commie types, right?
The commies.
On Twitter and Facebook. They are willing
just fuck
to just,
off.
you know,
Like seriously, anarcho-communists, fuck off. Just leave us alone. Like, just go do your little thing and just be all unhappy and hate humanity on your own. Just stop bugging us because we just think it's stupid and we're not going to listen to you. And it's just irritating and you're wasting your time. We're not going to change. We're not going to go, oh, you're right. We should just not do anything and we should all live in huts and fucking have horrible lives. That way the earth will be a little greener or something. Fuck off.
It won't be. No, it doesn't work like that. The biggest beef is with people, asking why didn't you open source this app? And my answer is, first of all, I don't want to. Second, there are technical reasons that would make an open source fork of the app, difficult to implement. We have agreements with companies like Amazon and Parse and other hosting providers that allow us to send push notifications out all over the world. It's not as simple as let's just open source a project. Not only that, but I have a very clear vision of where I want this thing to end up, right? And I'm not willing, nor do I have any responsibility to share my hard work for the last 6 months with anyone else. That's not how the world works. And these guys basically are just lazy assholes, living in the slums of San Francisco. They have this, warped ideology of what the world should be like. They're entitled to everything. And they use, this guy, one of the guys... he's using a $3,000 MacBook Pro built by a capitalist to tweet about how capitalism is bad. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I saw that one, yeah. He's at Starbucks on his $3,000 MacBook and writing about how you're an asshole because you're trying to create a free service for people that you might make some money on at some point.
Exactly. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's totally ridiculous.
And humorous.
Yeah, no, I think they got to go away at some point. But that is a good point about how the government could try, and they will at some point, because all these sort of communist types are in the government as well. And of course, the government has an other motive as well. They don't want you to show people that you don't need them. So they will try to say it's dangerous. They'll say, oh, if you just, that's vigilante justice. If you have a problem and you let everyone in your entire community know you have a problem, they might all show up and they might all just beat a guy to death. Well, yeah, that might happen. Yeah. So
that's the number one criticism, Jeff. Yeah. The number one objection that people have to this app is vigilante justice, which, if you really look up the definition of the word vigilante, is more or less, it's not a negative word by any means. It's basically people taking justice into their own hands when the government or other judicial systems fail to deliver, really. So to me, that's not a negative thing. Look, if you're going to come at my community and create chaos and create victims and assault people and do all kinds of bad things, I'm not going to wait for cops to defend myself. I have plenty of guns. I have plenty of friends, and we're gonna deal with you, right? That's how things used to be before the government got into the business of protection. People had guns, they knew how to use them, and they provided security for themselves just fine, right? So that's the number one argument. And then the second argument is, what happens if you, and this comes mostly for people who don't understand how the app works. What happens if you're a single woman, your car breaks down on the side of the road, and you issue an alert, right? You're alone, you have a flat tire, you call out for help, from the world. And, the idea is, what if some
well, not necessarily the world, your actual
breaks.
Friends and family that you've added, right?
And that's what people don't understand. Right. You have the option to issue out a general alert.
If your friends are rapists, that's your fault.
You have a problem, right? Yeah. So,
choose better friends.
Jeff, there is this option in the app, and people might love this. There's this option that is called patrol mode. And if it comes on enabled by default, and what it does, Jeff, is basically enables complete strangers to receive alerts from you if you send out a special kind of alert, which is basically a global alert. So if you send out a global alert, you don't have to, but you can. Anyone within a 50-mile radius will receive your call for help, which is great because it's there are plenty of good Samaritans out there. I would stop to help someone if someone called out for help. I'm not an asshole. I help people all the time.
Most people do. 95% of people do.
Exactly, and there's this assumption that it's the stranger danger, right? And again, that's government indoctrination. You see strangers on the street, don't talk to them. That's fucked up. That's insane. I don't want to live in a world like that. Well, I grew up in communist Romania, a crazy backwoods, crazy third world country, and I walked to school when I was like 5 years old by myself. Nobody ever assaulted me. Nobody kidnapped me. That I think those are largely myths, and they're promoted by police, status, people who live in this constant fear of, danger. There are terrorists around every corner. There are child molesters everywhere, and I would say a vast majority of these rumors are just not true. So
absolutely. Well, that's what the government puts out, and that's why the mainstream media and all that is also fear-based, because they need us to all be in fear, because then we clamor for someone to protect us. But these apps like these, and that's why it'll be so great as you get all your success stories coming in to get them out there, and as more and more people see it, they'll start to say, what do we need government for? Like you said you were never kidnapped in Romania. You were kidnapped in the U.S., I believe, for taking a photo. By the cops.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I've never been arrested in Romania, and I was a an activist, so to speak. I mean, in December 1989, I was tossing Molotov cocktails at certain things, and and that was
really?
the so-called revolution. Well, that was the so-called revolution in Eastern Europe. I've seen people run over by tanks. There were government snipers, shooting people down the street.
Shit was real.
It was real, right? And we were setting things on fire. I mean, shit was burning, right? But I've never done that here in the U.S. But to your point, I've been arrested simply for taking pictures, and this is a different world, man. The United States is not the land of the free. It's certainly not the place that I wanted to come to. But I am a so-called citizen now. I got my citizenship years back when I didn't know any better, and I married a beautiful American girl, and we live here now. But there are many other options. Like you live in Mexico for certain reasons. I'm tired. I have a very good career. I make good money, and I'm tired of the government taking half of it away. I mean, half of the year I work for the state, and that's unacceptable. I'm not gonna put up with that for much longer.
Yeah, but
so
they give you roads. So,
right.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
They just take half of everything you got, but there's roads. There's roads.
No. I have
we need
the
an app
feeling
for
that
roads.
They use most of my money to build bombs and drop bombs on little kids in hospitals and schools all over the Middle East. I have the feeling that's what they do with that money. So.
And a lot of it just goes to bankers you've never heard of.
That too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. Well, it's a real pleasure to talk to you. We've been talking over Facebook and stuff, but we never sort of talked face-to-face-ish over the internet. And you seem like a great guy.
Jeff,
I'm looking forward to meeting you in person. Could we confirm you? Could we get you to Anarchapulco 2017? I'd love to have you here. Okay.
I'm not going to promise, but that gives me enough time to get a passport, and I will definitely do my best to be there. So,
awesome. We'll put you down as highly as tentative, but likely.
Right, exactly. So I know that Angel Clark is there, right? You two are know each other, so she's there. A lot of quite a few people that I actually know or heard of, live in that area. So it's just a matter of time before I have to come and hang out with you guys. So we should probably just make it happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
Get it done. Yeah.
Well, by then,
awesome.
February 2017, this will probably be a big company. You might be busy, but hopefully you can make it down. And, that's what the conference is all about, anarcho-capitalism, about people creating new solutions to
if it's what I hear, which is a lot of alcohol and drugs and partying, I will try to be there.
There's that as well. There's anything you want. So it's very free.
Right.
Anything you want. Yeah, so that's great. Is there anything you wanted to mention before we finish up? I'm going to definitely have you on again once you start to raise funds for the company. But
awesome.
Anything else you want to let people know right now?
No, I just if people want to get the app and try it out, please do it.
No, you have to. Don't even ask them to please do it. I'm telling you, if you watch Anarchast, you're watching right now, you have to put it on your phone. If I ever meet you and you say, I love Anarchast, and I go, is cell 411 on your phone? You say no. I'm going to be like, did you miss that episode? You have to put it on your phone. So yes, everyone do that.
Jeff, I got an email from a guy from South Africa, and this guy is actually lobbying the government to force people to put this app on every cell phone. And I'm thinking, wait, that's the wrong way to go about it. I appreciate the sentiment, but let's not force people to install any mobile apps just yet.
Yeah, he doesn't quite get the concept totally, does he?
He's a little too excited.
He's like, it's such a great app that we'll get rid of the government, so let's use the government to force people to put it on. It's like, I guess, I wouldn't tell him not to do it. I would, if he wants to go, if that's what he wants to do, I wouldn't tell him not to, but it obviously goes against what the whole concept is, obviously, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, if they
Yeah,
make if they make it mandatory, it would be one of the least worst government mandatory things ever enacted in human history.
True.
So.
Very true. Very true. Yeah. Yeah, but what I was going to say, go to getsell411.com. The website is there. It's linked to everything, to the stores if you want to download it. There's an FAQ on the site, so it answers most of the questions. It's pretty straightforward. It's very simple to use. If you are an intuitive, user, it's all good.
Awesome. I'm really glad to have you on. I'm so glad I had Dale Brown of Threat Management on just before you, he's essentially doing private security that could end up all over the world and essentially make police almost not needed. And now your app is doing the same thing. These are two essentially anarcho-capitalists that are doing it. And it's kind of funny. I saw we posted our Anarchapulco 2016 video, and there was one guy in there, and he said, "Oh, you guys are just, all you do is talk, talk, talk. No one does anything." It's like, no, there's a lot of us doing a lot of, including Bitcoin. I don't know who Satoshi is, but that's essentially an anarcho-capitalist concept at the very least, and got picked up huge by the anarcho-capitalists and still is to this day, being propagated to essentially get rid of central banks through free market solutions. We now have Dale Brown, who's trying to essentially get rid of any need for police and actually doing a way better job than police. And now this app will make it so that any other vestige need that you thought you had from the government, you really don't need. So we're doing a ton of stuff. Anyone who's posting that is probably some 12-year-old anarcho-commie in his basement. You can fuck off. We don't give a fuck.
They're slowly fading away.
Oh, they are fading because they're losing. They have nothing to say.
Yeah, they're feeling it slipping out of their fingers, and they don't have a way to stop it. They know they're losing and they're dying. They're like the dinosaurs that they are, right? The relics.
Yeah, we should put out like a sort of a olive branch to them because they are dying. It's sort of like I've done this before with the financial elites. It's like you guys are dying. At some point, you're probably all going to get killed because everyone's figuring out what you're doing now. I said this to them in the past. I said, listen, just stop doing everything you're doing now. Stop all the wars. Stop all the central banking inflation. Stop all that stuff. Stop all the major government taxes and IRS and NSA and CIA. Stop it all, and we won't kill you all. Because some people are going to get really pissed off when they find out and kill all these guys. So I sort of extended an olive branch. I said, I'll talk to everyone as much as I can and say, if they stop now, just let them go. Just walk away. And I'll do that with the anarcho-commies. It's like, you guys have lost. You can sit there and hate yourself forever. It's not good for you either. It's not good for anybody. Right. I don't know how anyone can have a good life living like that. It's not healthy. Just let it go, man. That Karl Marx was wrong. It's just wrong. There is no working class.
Yeah, Jeff, I lived, so after the so-called revolution in Romania, I lived through hyperinflation. A loaf of bread that used to be $2, within about 3 or 4 months was $200. So I lived through that. I know what it's like, and I know I'm dreading this moment that, I know the inevitable collapse of the US dollar is coming. And I have no plans, and I have ideas and savings and all that. But it really scares the hell out of me because I lived once through that, and I don't want to experience it again, man. So it's going to be bad.
Yeah, so get on Bitcoin and precious metals. Most people watching this probably already are, and just try to inform people. And then one way you can inform them is just to like, subscribe, share to this video, get the stuff out there. People haven't heard a lot of this stuff before. They just turn on their football games and stuff. Just get it out there, and that's how you can change the world. Everyone says, "Oh, I don't think I can ever help change the world." Everyone can. You can do it. Every single person watching this just told 10 people, and over a couple of years, sort of converted them to understanding what we're talking about here. And then they told 10 people. It's pretty quick, the whole planet. It doesn't take too long. That's one way you guys can help out there, is just like, subscribe, share. It really makes a big difference. And it just boosts it up on the YouTube rankings. And then some people who've never heard this stuff before, it'll just show up on their screen. So until they turn us off, which they probably will at some point. But we'll just find another way. They can never stop freedom. Virgil, true pleasure to have you on. This has been one of my favorite episodes. Thank you. Because not only has it been a fun talk and really exciting and interesting, but it actually has you're talking about something that really could change the world. We could be on in a couple of years, and you could be worth hundreds of millions of dollars, which would be great. And actually, not dollars because they won't be around at that time. But you'll be worth thousands and thousands of Bitcoin, and there will be no real government left doing things like police and other essential services. And they are essential. I shouldn't use air quotes there, but they don't really provide a lot of them anyway. So this is world-changing kind of stuff. And another reason to come to things like Anarchapulco 2017, which is the end of February. We're going to be announcing it fairly soon. We're already working on it. We already got some amazing guests, including Dale Brown and Virgil. And I'm not for sure Virgil. He has to get his permission from the government to travel, but but going to be great. So anyway, that's it for Anarchast, your home for anarchy on the internet. Peace, love, and anarchy.
Well, there's like an ego-based kind of conscious block to prevent yourself from going deep within yourself because you don't want to hurt yourself. But sometimes you need to understand the subconscious kind of pains, the experiences you had in order to deal with them. A lot of people in society suppress a lot of bad emotions instead of embracing them. And I think once you kind of get into this world, once you start kind of experimenting and learning and taking different substances, you learn to embrace the bad just like you do the good, not suppress.
Croatia still recognizes that this piece of land belongs to Serbia, and that Serbia already said that it is not their piece of land, and they don't mind creation of Liberland on this territory, which was a very strong statement only 11 days after we started the country. And we are still, enjoying the benefits of that. We do have a kind of a silent support from Serbia for Liberland, and we are trying to multiply it. And we have a strong belief that with the new government, which is much more pro-liberty than the past one, which was rather socialist one.
From Acapulco, Mexico, this is Anarchast.